And welcome back to Winter Wolf's Den, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm Winter Wolf. I'm going to be bringing in co-pilot extraordinaire King Z momentarily, but we wanted to just welcome you back to FrostCast episode 2, where we're going to bring you some of the most interesting and out there news from nerd culture around the internet that we stumbled across this week. King Z, bring your ugly mug in here. There it is. There's the face that's paying all the bills for the channels right there. What's going on, boss?
I don't think I'm paying the bills. I'm more like just running the lights and making sure the deliveries are on time. I run the trains around here. That's what I do.
Fair enough. I mean, just speaking of lights, it's pretty dark over there in the secured location. But I guess we're just diverting all the power to the central hub that is the command center of the Wolf's Den. But we've got a big long list of topics that I ran by you over the weekend. A lot of cool stuff came up. Some of these stories do go back about a week and a half as I was checking through and vetting out various sites. But they were the things that jumped out to me in an otherwise, I think, slow-ish news week ahead of D23, because that'll be the big focus of our FrostCast number 3 next week, guys. Definitely don't miss that. But if you're jumping on board and you're ready to hang out, comment, of course, below on any of the topics as we're going over them. We're happy to have that chat in real time. Like button, subscribe button, all that spiel that YouTubers that are much better at this than I am tend to give you guys. And King Z, if we have no other housekeeping, I'm ready to roll. I say we just jump right in. And the first, I say we start with big story.
We get started.
Oh, questions! I forgot the question, dude. I knew it. I knew I was going to forget something.
Yeah, this is one thing that I enjoyed that we did before when we tried this whole live thing. Is we tried out some different things. We've been experimenting with different type of show ideas, stuff like that, over the years.
Yeah.
This is one thing I really did like from what we did before, and I'm going to open things up with a question. Now, you guys are feel free to join in, leave us a comment, jump in the live chat here, and tell us your answer. But here's your question for the week. If ketchup was not an option, what are you dipping your fries in?
Okay. Now, do I get to answer this too? And are you going to give an answer, or is this just?
I have my answer too.
Okay, let me give you my answer first. The only correct answer to this question is ketchup, because if there was no ketchup, I'd invent it and dip my fries in that.
No, you can't use ketchup. You have to use something else.
You're telling me that I can't Stark Tech my way into inventing ketchup for the purposes of this discussion.
No.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I'm gonna go with horsey sauce from Arby's. I love it.
Okay,
I do love it.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
What do you got? What's yours?
I was for a while there. I was using a horseradish mustard for my pretzel things.
Yeah, similar. Okay.
Yeah, but what I would dip my fries in is pretty much either honey mustard or ranch, depending on what's available.
Good pick. My wife's particular favorite as an alternative to ketchup is the Chick-fil-A sauce that they sell in the bottles now. You can actually just pick it up at your grocery store. Yes, she's digging that. She uses actually on burgers. I'm like, okay, that's out there thinking, but I'm with it. So yeah, guys, let us know. We could talk condiments. We have a separate segment. We just branch out from nerd culture into condiment review. I say we go for it. We can make that a thing. All right, dude. I say we start with the big story because it's got multiple facets that are going on. The internet is still basically reeling from the RDJ is Doctor Doom, the big show up at Comic-Con that just went down in San Diego. So coming after that, if you want to throw us over to the other screen there, let's bring up the RDJ. Not this one. This is the second one. Bring up the one I sent you today, because this is the one they're going to make some cuts to heroes. You should have one more story. Nope. Check again. Check the messenger. I sent you one more a little while ago, and I'll get you up to speed while we're going. Yep. So
it brought the same one.
Somebody caught up with Kang. Hold up. Hold on 1 second, people. We apologize for the technical difficulties.
Where did it go?
No, it's the second to last entry. I just opened up. It's from comicbookmovie.com.
Yeah,
it's in our conversation. It's literally like the three messages about the link for
this. There we go.
All right. We'll get there, guys. We'll get there. We promise.
That's it. There we go.
That's from Comic Book News. Yes. Yeah. So big details came up about what the story was going to be. And this came after somebody, I think it was a Variety, had caught up with Jonathan Majors, who was discussing how he's disappointed that Marvel's kind of, not Marvel, but the MCU has pivoted away from Kang, going forward as the big bad into the next phases of things. And they're basically adjusting course, and they're going to go with the Doom angle. They're going to do some different things there. So he made some
That's what
comments, but then
happens when you get
the
arrested
story
for
broke out.
assault and harassment.
I mean, dude, the camera showed him running 6 blocks away from the woman. I don't know. It seems like maybe they were both bad actors. I'm not here to judge. But yeah, in the current climate, he was going to take a fall for that without a doubt. There was no way he was getting out of that. But there were some interesting reveals, though, that were put out there by a few other sites in the last few days. And I kind of just wanted to touch on them here because if the leaks are to be believed, as you guys can see here in the bold part of the paragraph right there in the middle, I'm just going to read it out. This was to be the Kang Dynasty film, the next big team up thing. In their version, it says, kill the highlight for me. It was a little bit easier without the blue. Thanks. So in this film, the TVA began gathering anchor beings. We just heard that, of course, in Deadpool Wolverine. Those are central figures without whom various timelines cannot continue existing. They're gathering anchor beings from across the multiverse, believing they are the only ones powerful enough to defeat the Council of Kangs. I would argue that swarm of genetically enhanced future ants also did that, but okay. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were the anchors for their respective realities, while Tom Holland's Spider-Man served as the anchor for Earth 616, which of course is the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know. The movie was intended to be smaller in scope compared to Secret Wars, focusing more on Holland's Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and other anchors like Nick Cage's Ghost Rider. Okay, wild lineup. Now, the plan was for all of them to ultimately fail, leading to the collapse of the multiverse and Kang's creation of Battleworld. Now, you might remember Kingsley actually mentioned Battleworld last week, and I'm going to let him talk about that in a minute here. This would then set the stage for Secret Wars, where other MCU characters and additional multiverse figures would converge on Battleworld. Now, just as an aside, because you know I'm prone to do this, I actually went back and ordered a copy of the original Secret Wars and had it shipped in. So I have all the collected issues in one trade paperback graphic novel that's about 400 pages thick, it looks like. I will be reading up on that. But there's a lot to break down in this segment here. So in the interest of getting through everything and King Z keeping me on time, King Z, explain to me again a little bit about the Secret Wars event and Battle World, and then we can talk about this multiversal stuff once and for all.
So So to really lay out Secret Wars, you have to understand that there's two different versions of it: the 1985 version, and the 2015 version.
I ordered that one also.
in the 1985 version, the Beyonder brings heroes and villains to two different space stations outside of Battleworld. And he pretty much promised them, whatever you guys battle and whoever wins, I could grant you your wildest desires. And Galactus automatically wants to steal his power and tries to devour him, and hoping that the Beyonder's power would quench his thirst of always destroying worlds. He wanted to, because inside he wants to stop doing that, but it's his hunger that just drives him. So he goes up there and he gets knocked down like a fly, like just showing the complete power of the Beyonder. And you go in where Doom's at one point actually steals the power of the Beyonder. Now, anchor beings were kind of introduced in this as well, but it was more of I think it's Molecular Man. Was the person
Molecular Man? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Sorry to cut for a second. Okay. Yep. No, you got it. I got you.
And he was pretty much the being that helped him capture the power. And then to tell the whole story, it's kind of hard to tell.
No, you do. You're good, man. You ain't gonna do 40 years of memory into the occasion. I think you covered it. Doom brings, or the Beyonder brings villains and heroes together to do villain shit, and that's where they're at.
The part that I believe that they're going to use is actually from the 2015 version, where
and this is what I was going to ask you.
God Emperor Doom, where he has the power of pretty much all the multiverse, and he starts destroying the lines to keep only one alive, and that's where he creates Battleworld from all the different pieces of the multiverse into Battleworld, where all
that
the
sounds
heroes
like something they're definitely going to run with.
Battle. That would make more sense, because if you look at, like, they talked about like what they hinted at, what the story of Kane would be, was Kane. We know Kane the Conqueror was sent back to the, what was it, something of probability in Quantumania. And
dude, I slept most of that. Don't ask me, man. I just know it sucked.
he will escape. He'll show up to the Council of Kains and kill them all, and and then merge with all the rest of them. So he would know what every version of himself would do at all times. So
basically becoming omnipotent.
Yeah. And which they were talking about is like how he was set up through the whole Infinity War saga, starting with Strange doing his 1,475,382 different timelines where he saw only one victory, but he was set up to see that one victory, which would lead to Kang the Conqueror coming out and being released and then taking over the entire multiverse. Then you have the setup of him in Loki season 1 and Loki season 2, where they explain where one of the variants of Kang the Conqueror actually invented TVA, and then the one who was left behind, which they killed in the end of season 1, was he used the TVA to prune all evil versions of himself, and he weaponized whatever that creature was that's in the void. He weaponized that to destroy
the lost smoke monster.
Yeah, to destroy all the versions of him, so he could keep this one timeline that he calls the sacred timeline.
Sacred timeline.
Current.
Right.
So to tell a long story short, too late. Loki stops a version of Kang by becoming the story master, where he has all the lines, and now the TVA works as a nurturing to keep the timelines flowing, all the different timelines, so they're not pruned anymore. They're just they maintain it to make sure they don't die, kind of like the Wolverine and Deadpool. So what they believe is that Doom is going to come in, destroy the Council of Kains as God Emperor Doom, and then assimilate all of their knowledge, because they believe that one of the Kains is going to be from the future, a future version of Reed from the Fantastic Four. If you look at how the Kains were coming in, was the square time travel that is Doom's time travel technique, which was also used in Multiverse of Madness when Reed Richards showed up to the Illuminati. He used the same
you're right.
technology.
You're right. He did portal in. That's right.
So that's where they believe that it's going to be an easy pivot from Kang to Doom, which, to be in all honest, you can't do Secret Wars without Doom, and that's pretty much why they went there.
That's what everybody said. Yeah, for sure. That's what everybody said about picking Doom as a replacement big bad. Dude, I don't think anybody cared that Kang was going to be replaced anyway, because I've said it a couple of times. Like, if you defeat your big bad in a pointless, second Ant-Man sequel, you've already ruled him out as a big bad in my eyes. It's not like Thanos showed up and took an ass kicking in Thor Dark World and then was expected to be a badass in Infinity War and then, get it in an Endgame. So
now,
dude, you know my take on the multiverse. I want to say it real quick. I'm done with the multiverse. Like, I'm good with it. I think Deadpool and Wolverine was an adequate way for me to get a last kind of fix on that. I don't think the MCU is qualified on a writer level to do multiverses in the same way that like something like Star Trek used to be able to do, or hardcore sci-fi novelists that have a very good grasp on causality and how that kind of sci-fi would work. MCU is way too for kids, I think, in the writing approach to address these kind of concerns. So I'm glad that they're going to hopefully use this as an opportunity, like you said, to crush timelines down via Doom. Just have the 616 go forward and literally never show me a variant again. I hated the word variants during the pandemic. I'm double over them now in comic books.
This is what actually happens is that they collapse all the timelines, which he takes the pieces of all the different timelines and creates a battle world. And then out of this, by losing in that Secret Wars, it creates the one timeline, and it kind of reestablishes the other one. So some of the creatures, some of the variants can go back to their own timelines, but this will mark the end of the multiverse saga and go into the mutant saga, where we all think. And that was the other thing, is that they believe that Kang was the one that was keeping the Fantastic Four, knowing that they need the Fantastic Four to defeat him, and the mutants, the X-Men, out of the 616 timeline as well, because when they combine is the only way he's been defeated. So that's what they believe, is that he was the one who was keeping them out of the timeline to begin with, as a hidden thing. But one of the things I really want to see in the Secret Wars is one of the greatest panels in the 2015 Secret Wars is where God Emperor Doom kills Thanos by ripping his spine out of the back of him.
You're never going to see that in an MCU movie. I hate it. It's not Deadpool. You're not seeing that. It would be dope. Don't get me wrong. You're not seeing it. I got to squash that for you 4 years ahead of time. There's no way they show you that. No chance.
But we're here talking about God Emperors, and we're talking about people strong enough to rip people's spinal cords out. Let's go talk about our boy Cavill.
Yeah, let's jump over to that story. So this dude can't catch a break. Yeah, guys, we're not a financial channel. We're not a legal channel. Just roll it back up just for a quick minute. I just want to read the headline out loud for folks that are listening and not watching, and we do encourage that because I believe this video podcast will be available on iTunes and Spotify. So if you want to check out those audio only versions, is that coming soon, or are we on that? Right, I don't remember where we left that.
Let me grab the camera real quick. All right, so we are looking to go audio only as well as have a video podcast on Spotify. So how this is going to go going forward is that we will be going live on YouTube at Wednesdays, 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern. Then on Thursday, the video podcast will be uploaded to Spotify starting next week. We'll be doing a 3-episode drop next week on Spotify, episode 0, episode 1, and episode 2. Then the audio only version will be available on Saturday morning on all your favorite podcast providers. That's right. We go live on YouTube first, Wednesdays at 9 to 10 o'clock Eastern. If you want it fresh, if you want the day after, I believe it'd be Thursday evenings, we'll be going up on Spotify, video podcast, and then audio only Saturday mornings. And this will be all starting next week.
Awesome, dude. Thanks for filling in the details on that. Dude, put my man Cavill back on the screen real quick and let me read that headline. As I was saying before I got sidetracked, and I apologize. We're not a legal channel. We're not a financial channel. I don't profess to be able to explain the legalities, the contracts behind the scenes for these kind of things. We got a headline through one of the places we typically frequent. I believe this was a variety.com article. Don't quote me. Henry Cavill's Warhammer 40,000 has 5 months left to be either canceled or green-lighted. Dude, this guy can't catch a break. Without a doubt, the only reason this is held up is because I can guarantee they put somebody at a studio somewhere, put some notes in front of what needed to be done and happening in this show. And this dude probably pitched a fit rightfully that he was having Witcher PTSD flashbacks, you know, like this dude needs to catch a break. And the connection that I was going to make with just put this guy in a room with people that can write, let him tell them what this show needs and let him go. The connection I wanted to make here, very obviously, is the $1 billion plus success that we just saw in theaters 2 weeks ago. You got a guy that's familiar with the source who likes it. And they just and Disney let him cook within limits. You know, he wasn't allowed to like name and shame people specifically or be like, Captain Marvel is the worst piece of shit we ever did. I don't think he got away with making that kind of direct joke, but he took shots for sure. Not as good as when it was just Fox, at the helm there. But like if Ryan Reynolds can get Deadpool over the $1 billion mark, and yes, it had some cameos, but I think a lot of people just turned out for Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, and Hugh Jackman. I don't think necessarily it was just the other, not jabroni cameos because they were obviously kind of cool. But like we have living proof example of what you can actually achieve when you align the stars and just let talented people that are interested in these things go. How big of a disaster will this be if Amazon lets this ship go, considering the other recent success they've had in-house with letting people mostly stick to source with things like Fallout, juxtapose against things like Rings of Power? That's a big complicated question, but just let me get your take on Cavalrine maybe not doing Warhammer after all, because I've been looking forward to this. I've been looking for an entry point into Warhammer for a while, and I was hoping this was it.
So what I'm thinking is that this actually could be a good thing to get away from the Amazon hack fest that's over there on Amazon Prime.
Besides Fallout, we both like that. Check out our review.
Yeah, so whatever they do over there, they take IPs and they hatch and job it. Yeah. They straight. I mean, I think their best one the IP that they took and actually did something good with was Utopia, even though it only got one season. which is a graphic
I don't think I
novel.
saw that one.
And it's a pretty good. If you've watched Twister, the girl who plays the main character in Utopia is in Twister. She's Jessica.
All right, I'll take a little note on that. I'll look into that later. Maybe that's a review for another day you and I can do. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, one season.
Yeah, it's one season. They never released a second, so don't know what happened there. But
yeah.
I believe
you're absolutely right about hacks. Keep going. They're absolutely hacks.
I believe, which put this back up to bid, because I believe Henry Cavill's not going to sleep until he gets to make this. As it says here on his Instagram post, you see in the article, I had it up there for a second, right here, that he's been dreaming of this for 30 years to see this universe, and in the past 22, he's so happy that he's been part of the universe and everything that this has made. But Amazon and the creator of the game have not signed an agreement on what is allowed and what's not allowed. You know, what's in bounds, what's out of bounds, or if you're military terms, your left and right limits.
And that's Games Workshop, to be clear, the owner of Warhammer.
Yeah, they gave it a hard time of December of 2024. So if a deal isn't met by, I believe it's December 22nd, 2025 or 2024. Then
it's this 24. It's this year.
Amazon will lose its rights to it, because they claimed it in 2022 when they first announced it, and Henry Cavill's been attached to it since the beginning. So that's where we sit with this right now. So I believe that if Amazon doesn't pull the trigger, this gets canned by there. It will be shopped around, and maybe someone like Peacock, who's looking to get into the sci-fi realm. Someone like Netflix is still trying to,
unlimited money.
Netflix out there, or Max, HBO, or even Apple TV, because Apple TV has a pretty good sci-fi fantasy lineup already with stuff like Silo,
and money to burn.
Yeah, Apple has tons of money. I mean, just like
that's what I'm saying.
Their stuff is. But I believe them getting off this Amazon, how would you call this? Retainer, I guess, that it's under, would be the best thing for this
not
show.
Legal.
I think it might get better quality, get better production value if it leaves Amazon.
Super frustrating though, because we've seen them enjoy that success recently with Fallout, and then we can and it's not like Amazon's afraid to throw money at other things. Like there was that show, The Peripheral. They also did Citadel, which I think was done up by the Russo brothers. It wasn't particularly good, but they threw hundreds of millions of dollars to getting 10 episodes of that show done. So I really just want to see this world in live action, so I can make that decision. Like, do I start picking up novels in the series, because it's one of the games that I don't know too much about, but I'm fascinated by that grim dark life is bleak. Soldiers are thrown into like the meat grinder, everything's for the emperor, and there's just so much to the world and so much lore built in that it's over. Like if you go into a bookstore, that's actual brick and mortar buildings with doors that have shelves of little paper things called books, guys. It's not all available just in digital, but it's overwhelming because this series has entire shelves attached to it, with like dozens and dozens and dozens of books you can pick up. And it's always sketchy about where's your entry point. Because if you pick up a rando book and you're missing 6 things you needed to know before that, it's kind of like the MCU. Like at this point, if you're trying to jump in, it's tough to jump into these things if you haven't done the homework. Warhammer's been like that for ages. So I don't know if Amazon loses it, I guess I could see that as a win if it goes somewhere else where they can make good on it. And I'm like, dude, Henry Cavill probably not wanting to put on all that kind of prosthetic and armor or whatever when he's like 60, so maybe we need to get this done and just let the guy cook. Just give him one show. Let him do one thing how he wants. That's all I got to say about that one.
All right. So keep this moving along. We've talked about Cavill. We talked about Amazon, but we did bring up their competitor, Netflix, the granddaddy of streaming, and they have something new coming out. Let me pull this up real quick so we can go through this. Oh boy, where is it at? There you are. And share. Boom.
What we got going?
Netflix going with a live-action BioShock film based off the video game. Apparently, they're running out of ideas or sequels or prequels or remakes that they can do. So now
we're tapping video games.
We're going to the video game realm.
It was bound to happen. To see BioShock as a film, has been something that it's kind of like, you remember when Peter Jackson was going to do a Halo movie, like in 2005, like if you go that far back. So people have been talking about doing a live action BioShock for a long time, but I think this is the first time I've ever, and this was just a story I picked up. This is the first time I've seen anything concrete about it. And of course, the very first story I see, as you guys can see here, Netflix's live action BioShock film shifts direction following budget cuts. It's going to be a more personal point of view as opposed to a grander, more epic project. Now, King Z, I'm not sure in your gaming pedigree how much you might have gotten into BioShock going back, because I think BioShock 1 is an Xbox 360 era title. I think it goes that far back, if I remember right. Have you ever played any of the BioShock games?
Xbox One? I mean, Xbox.
It's not.
No,
it might be original.
It's
definitely
the original Xbox, not 360.
But it might be. It's old.
Minimum,
it's back.
The bare minimum 360.
For sure. Now, did you play back in the day on the box or on PC as available, or did you miss out on the series?
I played a little bit of the first game. I didn't really get too far into the series. I know like there's 3 in the series, I believe. Maybe
I think so.
4th.
I think it's 1, 2, and Infinite. I think.
Yeah, I know 1 and 2 are underwater. And then the third one is above water into the.
It's in the sky. It's like connected flying city kind of thing with like rappel rails and that kind of stuff. It's a very
dark game from what I remember. With was it Sister and Big Brother?
Yep, that was the little girl. I think that's what they were trying to show you in that in that image there. And the big armored up dude with like the scuba suit and the drill.
Yeah, like. I mean, you can
see
up a little bit. That's here right there, and then you have this. Like, it's very dark imagery, and thank you. Let's go ahead and put that up.
There he is.
And told us that BioShock 07
Lore Master. We're just gonna have him in on the regular. Hey, he's either fact checking in real time or he knew. Good looks, too. We appreciate you. But I agree, dude. Atmospherically, it was one of those early games where they do really cool kind of satire and commentary, and it's kind of done very subtlety. The world is often a take on political themes from like 30s, 40s, 50s America with like Cold War elements. There's like some Lovecraft elements thrown in there with like the cosmic horror, like that kind of stuff. And then there's always that personal kind of story side to these games, like the descent into madness and reality testing and not knowing what's real. So all that stuff is always in there. You know, it was really fun gameplay for the time, yet, you know, complicated upgrades and different abilities you could use. It was fun stuff. It's something that I think might not work well on live action, but I'd kill to see something animated from it, you know, not necessarily in the style of the video game's graphics, but just like a regular animated film. But if they're going live action, I'll say this, and this is kind of what I wanted to get your take on. If they're going live action, I'm encouraged by headlines that read, going with the smaller budget, telling a smaller story. Because the one recurring theme we have from movies over the last 3 years is these idiots get together, they start with a budget of 200 million, they screw that up, they have to reshoot a bunch of stuff, the costs get over there to 300, 400 million, and then you get dump fest like Rise of Skywalker and Indy 5. And then nothing becomes profitable, people shit on it, people get shots taken at them for shitting on it, and other people get called shills, and it could all be avoided if we just told smaller scope stuff, smaller budgets. Necessity is the mother of invention. Creativity is often squeezed out of having smaller dollars on hand. So I'm encouraged by them having a smaller budget. Now, dude, you've worked film side on various projects. What do you think of that tenet? Like, if you have to actually account for your money and it isn't a finite supply, do you think you get more bang for your buck that way than having a bloated $500 million budget, say, or whatever?
So one of the things you have to understand about filmmaking is when it comes to budgets and making film, you have to think of it in a triangle. So, but you can only have two sides of this triangle, and one of them is one is good, one is fast, and one is cheap. So if you want good and fast, it won't be cheap. If you want it good and cheap, it won't be fast. Mm-hmm. And if you want it fast,
cheap and fast, it won't be good.
It won't be good. So that's how you have to think about this. So the budget can or can't make a movie, but I mean, we've seen really good movies on really small budgets. So I don't think the budget can play. It's how you manipulate, not manipulate, but
manage. That's what I meant.
Manage
if
or
you
how
spend
you
your money
use
wisely.
that money, to actually tell a story, bring in some credible actors, or bring in a production crew that knows how to work in that type of genre. Because I mean, as you know, that the genre of BioShock is steampunk or grimdark, or steampunk grimdark. You put all three together.
Steampunk grimdark sci-fi. Like it's got some cuts to it for sure, and there's some religious elements to it too. Like there's some religious gothic horror vibes, 100%.
And 100%. Of course, apocalyptic.
Yep.
So you have all these genres that you can blend together to make a story. But what you need to have is someone, like we talked about in the last story, someone like Cavill, who knows it and who knows how to manipulate it to make it good. How to read into the story and portray the character as it should be portrayed, as he did as Grant, The Witcher.
Talking about? Oh, Geralt.
The Witcher.
Geralt.
Yeah.
I've been calling him Geralt forever.
How he portrayed Geralt, because there's certain things that they wanted him to do in the script. And he's like, no, that's not how he would act, because this is who he is. If you have someone with that, or the creator of Andor, like how much he's invested in this story of Andor and Road One, where he takes his time and he makes sure the little details are right. I think no matter what the budget is, if you have someone like that, they're going to make it good.
I think you're 100% correct. I think when I'm talking about having a reduced budget, I'm thinking just in terms of scale and scope of the story, just on top of like the details you brought up. For me, if I was doing a BioShock movie and they gave me, 80 to 100 million, I think it's simple. You have to play to the strengths of what the story gives you outside of crazy, stupid set pieces. Like you have to be very selective. You probably get to spend a big chunk of your budget on one central location that mimics a very memorable part of the game that can be repurposed and reused in different ways to reflect those kind of different sections of the game. But then you got to keep it small. You got to focus on your main character. It's got to be a guy or a girl. I don't care. Like tell your original story. Doesn't matter. But that person needs to have like a legit want, and they need to have the old wound that they're running from that they need to face. Maybe you have the little sister, but maybe the big bad of the movie is a Resident Evil Nemesis style big brother, and not some ridiculous cosmic horror CGI boss battle at the end of the film. Maybe it's just some hulking dude in some prosthetic rig they put together that shows up for a jump scare 3 times, like every 10 or 15 minutes or something like that, until the big showdown at the end. And then you defeat that. And that's the story. The person reconciles their fear. And that's the scope of the story, not mobs of enemies, not 700 magic abilities that have to have shit effects to get done. Like focus on the person being defective and broken and what they need to find, because that's what BioShock's about.
Yeah, I think a lot of storytelling has been lost over the years. Like a horror movie back in the day, you never saw the monster. Like if you like Frankenstein, name monsters like that, you saw because
that was the point.
Central piece.
Right.
But
that was the point.
Some of the other ones, you never see the monster until the end. The building of the suspense and letting your imagination make it so much scarier than what it actually is. And that's the beauty of storytelling, is be able to tell you a story visually, but you're still having imagination going into it, which is making the suspense and the horror so much more, instead of just throwing in your face and throwing blood and throwing bodies everywhere. I think that part of the art form has been lost over the years.
I agree 100%. I think if for you and me, I know we typically really enjoy some of the 80s horror, like the slasher stuff from the 80s, right? And the complaint about all those, what's that?
I mean, or even older, like old Hitchcock stuff, and the way it built the suspense.
But Hitchcock, but he could tell a story. Where I was going with the slasher talk is that I think a lot of our slasher villains became parodies and jokes of themselves throughout the 80s, because they started leaning less on tension and fear building, and they got into Freddy Krueger becoming jokey, Jason becoming an unstoppable force of nature that you had to have him on screen kicking through a door, you know what I mean, to intimidate before he lays a kill on someone. Michael Myers then has like entire movies where he's on screen 95% of the runtime. You know, you're like, okay, yeah, tall dude in a white mask. Okay, well, I'm gonna check my phone now and let me know when he's stabbing someone. You know, but the OG horror flicks, different way. The classic Hitchcock stuff, that was 100% character driven and well staked out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To build that tension. So I think you're right, man. I think a lot of that is lost, but I think BioShock, kind of like Resident Evil, had a shot back in the day before they just became video games on the big screen, because that's what all of those movies are, honestly. I mean, even from part one. But that's a very similar kind of game. Isolated location, one protagonist, limited resources, enemies you can pick from, but you could tighten it up and just make it a survival story. It didn't have to be a dive out of the way cinematic 360 no scope knife run only video game movie. BioShock could do that. I think they could take a poke at that.
One of the things I saw in that article, and I've already unscreen shared it, was that they were thinking about making it an interactive, so it would be a POV type shooting.
I didn't see that part. Interesting. Yeah. Now, Netflix did that with a couple of movies. Did you ever check any of those out? Bandersnatch was one of them. Oh, get out of here. You never told me that. Interesting.
Yeah, Escape the Undertaker. It has the Undertaker and the New Day in it from WWE. Oh.
Very cool. Very cool. Did you ever get on any of the other ones that are on Netflix and actually just participate on the customer side?
No.
To actually like get in on like the fun factor.
I did that one just because I worked on it. I want to see how it came out, because it was actually a really fun project. And plus I got to meet the Undertaker. I got to meet Kofi Kingston, Big E, Xavier Woods. So
nice.
Michael
Hayes.
It.
Okay. It was worth it. Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, WWE puts their own executives there to make sure their characters are still portraying who their characters
are. Oh, you mean that they stick around to prevent brand damage is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, Michael Hayes was there, which was really cool. The Freebird.
Nice. All right. So you know a couple. So you got a couple of inroads with that. That's cool. That's cool. One of the articles that I sent you, I wanted to skip back over to, was that second Marvel one that has Simu Liu on the front. Shang-Chi.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to do that story for sure, just to tie it together with the Marvel stuff going forward.
I gotta find that one again. Hold on. I thought we were done with
I can set it up. I just want it up as a visual, but I can set it up.
Yeah,
so it was an interview with Kevin Feige, with wherever the story was from. And I got to get better about those sources, guys. I apologize. We will have them in the description going forward, so you guys can check out the articles. That looks like it's bounding. That's bounding into comics. So just show me that whole headline real quick, because that's we can just talk about it from there. Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige says some Phase 4 heroes will be cut from the next 2 Avengers films. Choices will have to be made, that's for sure. Dude, is this or is this not a tacit but tactical admission that Phases 4 and 5 have largely sucked, that everything on Disney Plus has largely sucked, and we're just going to move on without you? Because when you, at the end of the day, Shang-Chi came about as close to profitability as anything Phase 4 or 5 had to offer, besides Wakanda Forever, with that, which actually did make a little bit of money. And they're going to leave. This dude will not be a part of it going forward. I guarantee it, because it just doesn't hit with enough people as an interesting enough character. He doesn't need a spot on the Avengers team. There's already enough of them anyway. What do you think about that take first? And then I just kind of want to spitball characters you think might not make it, might make it, given all we've seen.
Well, honestly, I like the Shang-Chi character. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fun. Cool. I think some of the people from the movie won't make the cut because they are working on Shang-Chi 2 right now. Like, it is being made. So I believe they will go forward to him because he had the first inclination of the threat level. If you, in the post-credit scene where he had that beacon that called him while he was looking at what looked like the sacred timeline with all of its branches coming out, and he had like a beacon coming to him, which was the post-credit scene of the first movie. We'll see where they go with the second movie, if they're going to write him out or just bring him in for Secret Wars. He might not be in Doomsday, but he might be in Secret Wars. Think of X-Men Giant Size 1, which is where they introduced all the other X-Men. Because remember, the original 5 X-Men were Iceman, Cyclops, Beast, Jean Grey, and Angel. They were defeated, so Magneto brought in the other people. That's where they introduced Storm, Wolverine for the first time. Who are the other ones?
Colossus, Nightcrawler.
Yeah, Colossus and Nightcrawler. I think those were the 4. Oh, and Thunderbird.
Yeah.
So
true. So you think Shang-Chi is gonna make a show up then?
I think he's going to show up in Secret Wars. I think Secret Wars is going to be, if they set it up right, in what they have, like, what is it, 5 more movies to set it up in, and 2 TV shows, which I don't think Agatha's going to do anything towards Secret Wars or Doomsday. I think it's just a straight it's a straight standalone show that's just in the MCU,
as it should be.
Which as it should be.
Yep.
You can have those.
Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night was a great show to stand alone.
Yeah,
great show.
But if you're going to talk about people trying to get cut, I believe Moon Knight will be cut, because Moon Knight didn't become part of the Avengers until really late, and that was the West Coast Avengers. He was never part of the main roster.
I don't think he works in the team format either, just based on his character, just from what we've seen in live action anyway. I don't think he needs to be part of an ensemble.
Well, also his mental state, he never worked well with a team, and that's why Cap introduced him. Like, Cap came out there and talked to him, and he's like, "I need you to do this," kind of like a Hand of the Emperor type thing. He was a hand of the Avengers, but he worked alone. But he was still a member of the West Coast Avengers at one point. So I think if out of those getting cut, I think another one that could get cut out of this will be the Marvels. All 3 of them.
I just wanted to ask you about them specifically, right? We all know Captain Marvel got exposed, right? That movie making $1 billion because of where it was placed in the timeline of movies being released. When the Marvels came out earlier this year, like, it made less money in its entire run than like half of what Deadpool Wolverine made in the first 2 days it was out. I don't think anybody's interested in seeing Brie Larson come back in that role. I don't think there are a bunch of Photon fans out there that are going to carry Monica Rambeau. And as much as I like Iman Vellani, and I've said this 10,000 times, I didn't review the show, but I did enjoy it for what it was, because I think she's just adorable. She's very charismatic. They can keep pushing that character in print as much as they want. They pushed her in the Avengers video game. It did not sell. This is not a dig on her. She doesn't have a place in the heavy hitters that have been what we expect from the Avengers movie. So I agree with you 100% on that.
So who we know is going to be in it right now, guaranteed to be in it. One, Doctor Strange is going to be in it.
Pivotal.
Benedict Cumberbatch has already said that he is working on the next 2 Avengers movies, and they're brewing up a storm, which a lot of people are wondering what that means. Like, he dropped a hint without dropping a hint. We do know that the cast of the Fantastic Four will be in it. We know that the cast of the Thunderbolts will be in it. We also know that Anthony Mackie will be in it as Captain Falcon. So these are the ones,
down this list of stuff here.
This list here on this is based off of a guy on X, formerly known as Twitter, called My Time to Shine. Hello.
Yep.
He's
the one that leaked that original story about the Kang leak plotline.
Yep.
So yeah, this is in conjunction.
Yeah, right here
with
you
that.
did see it. Like, they even made a picture of it off of his Twitter handle there, or X handle. So these are the people he believes are going to be in it. One of the ones will be the Ben Affleck will not be there as Daredevil. I will bet all my money that I will ever make in my lifetime that Ben Affleck will not be in that movie.
Who we got there? We got Nicolas Cage, Ghost Rider, various members of the X-Men, Fox. I'm just skipping down Wesley Snipes, Blade. Wesley Snipes needs to be Blade tomorrow. We need to do a whole separate talk on that based on the response to that cameo. Like, I got nothing against
Blade.
Good. I got, except for the guy that played him in the series, but he's the only Blade. You and I know it. Dude, I got nothing against Mahershala Ali. I always butcher his name. I got nothing against the guy. I feel bad for him.
Actor.
Fantastic actor. Right. He's great as Cottonmouth and Luke Cage. Right. Love the guy. Nothing on him, but like, he's pushing 60 as well.
Spider-Verse.
You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, that's right. He was Prowler. That's right. So, and he's fed up, and he's going to be working on a new Jurassic World sequel. So, dude, I think why not just slate him out? Bring Snipes in, but the thing is, Snipes won't be fourth fiddle in his own movie. Dude, look at that right there, dude. Again, dude, more Strange, but like real Doctor Strange, so like Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange, not second fiddle. Dude, and I'll take any version of Nick Cage and Ghost Rider. That's just a wild ride. Like, that's a guilty pleasure of mine for sure. He's just wild.
Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal back together again.
Oh, for sure. Dude, for sure. I forgot all about that. Good call. But look at the rest of some of this other stuff on the list. Like, this is how some of this stuff on this list is sketchy, though, right? Both Eric Bana and Lou Ferrigno portrayals of the Hulk. Now, if they're going to use stock footage of Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk, kind of like that stupid Flash movie did of like George Reeves Superman, yeah, kind of stupid. That was kind of dumb. You know, I mean, Ferrigno's still pretty big, but he's like 90.
I think
Lou
Ferrigno passed away.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he did. I thought I seen him out there in some red carpet stuff recently. I could be wrong, but either which way, that would make it even harder to get him back in then. Yeah. If he wasn't back
I mean, if you paid homage to him with like a picture in the background, or
like, I mean like a clip like from Flash.
Yeah, or like on the TV, on the TV
profile with stats.
Yeah,
I could do that. But like some stupid shit where it's just like Doctor Strange looking into different portals and seeing all the versions, like that really irked me in Flash seeing that.
And
I really did not like that.
I did love the 3 Spider-Mans in No Way Home. I
awesome.
don't believe Tobey Maguire will be coming back as Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield, I do believe would be the one that they bring back if they bring back anyone other than Tom Holland.
I mean, I think they could get Maguire back as a cameo again. I don't think he's never getting another standalone. Like they're not going to let him take another crack at the costume by himself. I think down the line, I think retroactively, I mean, they were foolish not to get a Garfield standalone movie into production the day after No Way Home. Dude, still alive at 73. Dude, Apakazi Gaming, lore master, fact checker supreme, hired full time. We're gonna bring him in. Right? We need somebody out there running the checks on us.
Once we get monetized and we can have moderators and stuff like that. You've earned a wrench.
I mean, all I'm saying is this, dude. We're more reliable for fact checking in real time than any political debate you're ever going to see on CNN or Fox. That's a fact. Like we're actually trying to keep shit legitimately accurate here as we go. Yeah, dude. You know what? The one more thing on that list before we move on. I'm ready for a live action Miles Morales appearance. Dude, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Miles Morales is Miles Morales playing a different version of Spider-Man, and I'm with that because I've enjoyed both Spider-Verse movies. But I'm ready. I think they're ready to hit him in live action.
I like the Miles
I think it would carry.
Character.
I think it would be okay. Yeah. I like him in the animated stuff I saw because the family, you know me and family dynamics in these movies, they're on point. The relationship between both him and his dad and his mom, but the dad in particular, when dad gives him the pep talk, and that's the thing that activates his power in the first movie, dude, done. Sign me up. Sign me up. He needed his dad's reassurance that he was going to be great. And that's all it took. And it was leap of faith from there. Dude, goosebumps. 6 years later. Freezing.
Question. Who do you cast as Miles Morales?
Dude, it's tough because I know the guy that voices him wants to do it, but he's like 38 years old.
Yeah.
He's got a baby face. I think it's Shamor Morris, I think is his name. I think that's the name. Right? But he's too old. I don't know, and I don't want him to be the kid from Stranger Things because that's the obvious one everybody says.
Yeah, that's the obvious one.
See, that's what I'm saying. But there's more black actors out there. Just hold an open rehearsal and get somebody that's got some swag but can do vulnerable, that can do like gangly teen, because you need that. He can't be the coolest kid on the planet. That's never been the point of that character. It's supposed to be just the one that's unsure of himself. He's not supposed to be Flash, you know? He was never supposed to be that way.
One of the ones that I saw is this guy named Lonnie Cavis. He actually plays young Tiger Woods in the Tiger Woods story.
Okay, good. Then
he has a
dramatic acting. Okay.
And then the other one is Miles Brown, who's a musician and an accomplished actor. I think he has that Miles Morales look to him as well, like based on what he looks like in the comic book.
Yep. I'm saying he's just got it. For me, it comes down to they can cast any African American kid they want because he has to be biracial. He's African American and Puerto Rican. He's Puerto Rican, right? Not Dominican.
Yeah,
pretty sure he's Puerto Rican. Right. So they can get the complexion. That's easy. They need to nail personality for every character in every movie going forward. That's going to bring people back. That's what'll do it, dude. Can you imagine if they just did Deadpool and Wolverine and somehow either of them acted completely out of character for like 80% of the movie? Like if Wolverine became like Professor Hulk or some bullshit, and all of a sudden he was using brains over brawn, or Deadpool wasn't the merc with the mouth. Like those idiots did the first time they did that.
Oh,
you know?
With the Deadpool for the Wolverine.
Oh my God, dude. No mouth. Way to think that through, studio. But yeah, no, I think they need to nail characteristics more than looks at this point, just to really iron it down.
Yeah,
dude.
I
I think we got
that was the great thing about the original Marvel casting. They captured not only the look but the personality. With RDJ as Tony Stark,
Yep.
Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I mean, those were perfect castings.
Oh, dude, and Chris Evans as small weakling Steve Rogers, like getting beat down in an alley but getting back up and then having the talk with the German scientist. Dude, I don't want to kill anybody. I just don't like bullies. I don't care where they're from. I can do this all day. Like that's Captain America, like diving on the dummy grenade, being the smallest guy out there, thinking how to pull the pole down instead of trying to climb the greased flagpole to ding the bell, like pulling the pin out and then just walking over and taking the flag or whatever it was. Like, no, it was Scarlett Johansson as Black. My God, was that inspired casting? But still, dude, we got time to do we watched because we're coming up on our time. I think I really wanted to get that segment out.
A real quick one, just to get it out of the way. We've talked about it, and I just watched the first episode of the animated version of this, which they're going to do a live action, and that is of Voltron, a live action.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that.
Something they've been trying to get off the ground for years now, and it looks like it might actually be starting to be made by Beast King Go Lion.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
So one of the things is, we all have fond memories of the stuff we watched as kids. We think it's the greatest thing ever. But I went back and watched the first episode of Voltron, and I hate to say it, it doesn't hold up. It does not hold up over the years. The dialogue and just the way it's portrayed, it just like, really? So
I can see that.
I was so sad. I'm like, this doesn't hold up.
Listen,
but here we do the chance to redo it. They did try to do a reboot a little bit. I think it lasted. Was it when Netflix bought it back in the day? They tried to revamp it and make a new series after they bought the original. It was all right. It was okay. Didn't last that long. And then they were talking about this live action one. But yeah. That's the article. I just wanted to bring it up real quick. It looks like it's going to be another Amazon MGM Studios type thing, as you can see right here in the title. Greenlit at Amazon MGM. But as we saw earlier when we talked about Warhammer, just because it's greenlit at the early phase doesn't mean it's actually greenlit until they start production. So
for sure.
Some optimism there.
Dude, yeah. For me, like I saw. Did you see Power Rangers a couple of years ago when they did live action on that? I think it was like 2018. It was right before the pandemic. I think 2018, 2019. No, you didn't catch that with Elizabeth Banks. Yeah, it was kind of bad, but I liked it. It was like all the Rangers have like Iron Man suits. Like that was kind of the gimmick. Is like we made it look modern, like nanotech, picotech, whatever. But I think there's some untapped resources here for 80s cartoons. I think if treated correctly, with a suitably but not excessively like worked on contextualized story, I think it could work because we do have the budget to pull these effects off, as we've seen in movies like the Transformers, where sometimes the budgets are too big, the effects get too complicated with things transforming with like 1,000,005 parts. It becomes distracting, like it's too much, but something like Voltron could work like Power Rangers did in live action. Like the Zords coming together in that movie was not the bad part of the movie. Just some of the acting and the writing was awful. Elizabeth Banks' Rita was kind of bad. But it made me think of other things from the 80s that I wanted to see, right? Like consider some of these other 80s gems, right? When I say them, you just give me a nod if you remember these shows. The Bionic Six.
No.
The family of six, very diverse cast. There were a couple of kids adopted, strong nuclear family. They were like a government agent team. Bionic Six, I remember that. Okay. Yeah. Silverhawks.
Yeah. No. Wait. Is that the
Future Tech, Silver, they wings and fly?
Yep.
Space missions. Okay.
The top was a Western type feel to it.
Yeah. One of them, it was definitely one of them was named Bluegrass, and it had some vibes, right? Thundercats, that's an obvious one.
Oh, yeah.
Thundercats just had a revival a few years ago as well on Netflix. It was okay. It was short-lived, but the animation was okay. I think things like that can work in live action. They just have to actually take that kind of, you have to take it serious enough to give it like a Willow-like vibe, not the crappy series, not the series. We don't talk about that here. We got a Black Panther that we don't do that here, right? There was Captain Planet, Ultimate Cheese Fest.
Hero.
Yeah, there it is. Dude, ultimate cheese, but dude, I mean, as a kids movie, could probably work. And there's just there's so many more to when you think of things like GoBots, when you think of things like Visionaries, when you think of things like, I don't know, let me know in the comments or, the chat or whichever other 80s cartoons that are bangers. Like, I think when they run out of video games to do, I think they're next. I think like they're going to actually go back to He-Man live action, I believe, is in development now that I think of it. It's been one of those development hell situations. Yeah. We could talk about Masters of the Universe whenever you want. I know that movie's bad. I know it's a Star Wars ripoff. I will talk about that shit all day long with Dolph Lundgren and Courtney. Was it Courtney Smith? Courtney Cox. Right. I will talk about that movie. I did Frank Langella as Skeletor. Awesome. You know it. I'm not afraid to admit it. Dude, how are we set on time? Do we watched, or do we hold on to that for another week?
No, we did hit up. We got about 4 more minutes. We did hit something real quick.
Okay, yeah, that's a good amount of time. You go first. What have you worked on lately that you watched? What do you got for the people? Recommendation time.
Actually, me and the wife just started this back over again as our night. We watch it at night as we wind down. Kind of usually have a show we watched before and we just throw it back on the tube. Mm-hmm. And the one we just started again was Leverage. I love this show. You have the 5 thieves that start, the whole Robin Hood story, robbing from the wrong to right the right. Or rob from the people who did the wrong to right the people who were wronged.
I'll work on that tagline. I think you covered it, but I think it was a little clunky there. But I got you. Dude, that was an old TNT show, right?
Yeah, they picked up where the law left off.
There we go.
Yeah,
that's your tagline. That's what you should have run with.
That's right.
Yeah, I like the vibe of that show back in the day. That was like on one right as I used to watch that a little bit. Justified and what was that? Was it called? It wasn't called Casino. They had a casino. Was it Vegas? I think it was Vegas.
Vegas.
That was the name of the TNT show. I used to watch them intermittently.
Yeah, that was the one with James Caan in it.
Yes, dude, as the casino manager, awesome. And also the hot girl from Happily Ever After, whose name I can't remember. Oh, Nikki Cox, I think. Gorgeous in that show. Love her. One of my favorites.
Not including the guy who was in Transformers as the Special Forces guy.
Josh Duhamel.
Yeah, Josh Duhamel.
That's right. He was head of security. Yep, that's a good show.
It had some names like
Vegas.
After James Caan left the show, Tom Selleck took over for him.
Oh, I didn't know that. Cool.
There was even an episode where he got all the Hawaii Five-O people back. Not Hawaii Five-O, but the Magnum PI. But the
Magnum PI,
people back together to do an
episode. Okay, that's pretty slapping. See, that's a cool gimmick episode. I'm with that for a bottle. Bottle episode with that would be dope.
Yeah, that's before he went and started Blue Bloods, and he's been with Blue Bloods ever since.
Oh yeah, Doug. Blue Bloods is on like season 95 right now or something. Yeah. Dude, True Leverage, guys, go check that out if you got a minute. Dude, my watch for the week has gone back long enough now that I've watched it twice since we started doing the segment. I'm back on my Firefly kick. I gave Supernatural a quick break. I'll talk about that in another episode. Dude, Firefly has everything that critics today complain we don't have enough of. And I find it hilarious because Firefly is now like 15, 17 years old and it had everything you want. It's got a justice focus, kind of like Leverage does, where it's a group of smugglers / thieves. They're morally gray. They'll do some crime. But when the chips are down, they always kind of try and do the right thing. They got problems with authority. That might actually not track well today because we don't know how people are being apologists for that kind of action. But diverse cast, strong female characters that aren't always the best fighters, the best gunners in the unit, but nobody would call any of them weak, despite their appearances or their lack of physical ability. Captain Planet was the shiz. Dude, you know it. Your boy Nathan Fillion is great as Mal Reynolds, the captain of the Serenity. I love him in that role. He's got like just enough of a Western drawl when they need it, and that plays into the visuals of the show. That's got a lot of banjo kind of music, and the title song's great. All the visuals in the show reflect that. All their weapons are like revolvers and lever action rifles. There's no blaster marks or anything like that. There's no lightsabers, so it's wild. It's a fun show. Fox killed this like they did so many other great shows back in the day. They even, in its original run, they aired the episodes out of order, famously. So literally nothing made sense. Like the limited miniature arcs that they had over 2 or 3 episodes, some of the relationships like between Mal and Inara, they're all out of place. You don't know what the hell's going on. So if you guys go back and watch Firefly, it's on Hulu. Google first Firefly watch order, and then wrap the whole thing up with the movie Serenity that came out when the show ended. Serenity is an excellent endpoint for the series. So the Firefly recommendation from Winterwolf for sure. Absolutely. King Z, I think we covered our bases like we promised we would do. We're on time. You want to encourage everybody and read us out of here? I'd appreciate it.
Well, see ya.